Man, that is a really old clock.
Our American Republic is not all that different from old Rome.
Narration? Reading? Engraving? In greeting your nation narration?
Time, stop!
In case you didn't catch the meaning of this, Caesar's ability to stop time is literally his livelihood. His ability to stop time is tied into his creativity. It's interesting and weird and has no other function. Also, is there any doubt that Francis Ford Coppola believes he is the guy currently walking towards a precipice by making this movie? That he is the atom biting this apple, the driver of this vehicle approaching the cliff? Anyway, this reminds me of that show called Out of This World, where this teenage girl could stop time. Maureen Flanagan was an early crush of mine. I wonder if she's married. I have a few calls to make. Movie requires a trip to outer space to tell its tale.
I sing of Colossus and the history of man.
Yet not heard singing. Movie would really slap if it were the third millennium.
I hate and I love, but why do I so? Perhaps you ask.
Your guess is as good as mine, guys. I once answered a question like this, and I ended up in a cult that followed David Koresh in 2016.
You think so?
Whoa, she actually understood that question? Did someone forget to give me a Megalopolis key to understand this? I think this has something to do with an old Roman poet, but here's a sin for making me do research. Why capitalize playoffs and golf, but none of these other words around them? Also, it is interesting that the state government seems to not have been consulted in the matter.
Wait.
Time is slowed here so we can witness Julius seeing Caesar's power for the first time, but he doesn't know she can see this, so it comes across as him savoring the flavor of destruction.
This time you've gone too far, Catalina.
It would be nice to know how he's gone too far and why the police commissioner is just finding out about it.
This site is under design authority jurisdiction.
It would be nice to know what this site is and why it matters.
And what happens if you've overstepped your mandate?
It would be nice to know what exactly that mandate is and who gave it to him.
When does an empire die?
I don't know, but the answer probably is when directors put advertisements of musicals partially based on their own movies in another movie. Jon Voight isn't not in this movie in this scene. Is this his money? His debt? All this Chiron confirms is that money is a thing.
Slay boy, stray
Get their
boy,
entrance.
playboy, gay boy. No, sir, that's my sisters you're thinking of.
The first of many trail markers on my path to giving up on this movie.
Word has it, you're doing a little hanky-panky with your sisters. If it's true, stop it.
If it's actually an issue you don't want people to know about, maybe don't bring it up at a press event with a room full of reporters.
To be or not to be? That is the question.
I think the question is to leave or not to leave the theater. Also, this Hamlet's on for all of the sometime. The was that?
Nush, what do you think we do here?
Wait it out.
Democrats. Even though many of its themes are laid bare, as we see here in this notebook, the movie will still get bogged down in a confusing soup of philosophy and symbolism.
Which is why Megalopolis
Stop! Roll credits. Go!
will be built entirely out of the megalon, which is imperishable.
One thing I'd like this movie to clarify is how does building a city out of this miracle substance lead to any of the 7 building blocks Caesar has written in his journal? It really seems like Caesar believes that by building something pretty and has cool features, people will stop being assholes.
Concrete. Concrete. Concrete.
Jon Voight should have interrupted this nonsense with an I'm walking here, and then everything about this movie would make sense.
People, Catalina, and how they live now.
No time to talk of people's future? Yet there's always time to convince them to use money they don't have, to buy things they don't need, to imitate people they don't like.
Well, damn, that is a good question, but please tell me more about your soap, Mr. Durden.
You call me that again, and I will smash your face.
Movie gets Moff Gideon and Kylo Ren in the same scene, which just so happens to be on a walkway that is much like a Star Wars film, and I don't know what I was expecting. This movie is so off the rails, I'm ready for some out-of-context Star Wars.
Whichever half you want to put your giant foot on.
Holy shit, now that gives a whole new meaning to freedom of the press.
Boss, some 6th grader is here.
What?
Aren't you a bit big for a 6th grader?
Seriously, what the is going on?
What if what connects power also stores it?
Is this a metaphor, or does he really think he just invented the capacitor?
I sent a letter to you last night.
Last night? Don't you tease me about this being the same universe as Premium Rush.
A childish letter, and I want it back before you read it.
Also, I sure am glad this minor plot point wasn't the whole movie, because I don't think I would have been prepared for Francis Ford Coppola's overnight delivery.
I guess you could say my love of science bumped up against a brick wall of intellectual vigor on the subject of jellyfish.
You think 1 year of medical school entitles you to plow through the riches of my Emersonian mind?
'Tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous conversation, or to take arms against it with a skip.
I work without caring what happens to either of us.
So go back to the club.
The most famous line reading from this movie has the effect of being everything wonderful and terrible all at once. The delivery is as withering as it's intended to be, but there's a hilarious undercommitment to it that boomerangs right back into Caesar's face, as if the universe is telling him, you're not hip enough to pull off this insult.
Come back when you have more time.
Yes, I saw you change the laws of physics.
Yet that wasn't the first thing that was discussed when you walked in the room.
Could it be the great Caesar Catalina doesn't obey anything, not even T-symmetry?
Slowing and stopping time doesn't explicitly violate T-symmetry any more than it passes the Bechdel test, but what do I know? I never went to medical school. Excuse me, I now must put on my now I'm impressed jacket. So you're Francis Ford Coppola and you hire Lawrence Fishburne 45 years after Apocalypse Now, and you give him nearly nothing to do except stand around and occasionally narrate.
This is it?
I too would find it hard to take Caesar seriously if I walked in and saw this Willy Wonka bullshit.
It's a perfect school city for its people, able to grow along with them, just like great cities have always done.
Movies about incredible visionaries have a very difficult time being good. You, the filmmaker, must come up with a compelling vision of your own that you express through your main character. You can state the vision clearly, but if it falls short, so does the movie. The other way is to be vague, which is what this movie does. I think the movie is saying his city will attract like-minded people, and if it can win over the socialite mayor's daughter, it can win over anyone. But the vagueness opens the door for me to be my best self, which is deeply cynical.
I want him out of my life.
Yes.
Coppola finally gets a chance to work with his nephew, Jason Schwartzman, and this is the type of thing he gets to do in the movie. How is this a daily newspaper with a publication date of just March? One of the Poulter sisters beckons Huey, the tuba player, to come over and meet them. Huey later becomes Claudio's right-hand man when he gets into politics. None of this is all that important, but here's what happens after Huey leaves them.
Which way did Huey go?
That way.
Well, let's all go this way then.
Remember this when the movie is quoting Marcus Aurelius and talking about the virtues of aligning yourself with the insane. Too bad this movie doesn't unfold like a Hitchcock thriller. Aside from that, this newspaper is just all kinds of f***ed up. First off, the headline is about Caesar's murder trial, but the article underneath is about the discovery of Caesar's wife's body just yesterday. Second off, the article starts off awkwardly, beginning with unknown body discovered in the late hours yesterday, which was apparently identified as Beauty Sunny Catalina. It's almost like beauty was her job. What do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a beauty. Third off, home of residence. Then in the next article, the body was apparently discovered in a submerged car in a river. But in the previous terrible article, police responded to an anonymous call that found a body-like figure lying in the river. Not to mention how this changed from the Lucky River, which is in San Antonio in the first article, to simply the East River in the next one. But you know what? This probably would be what newspapers would do with this story. It's still a goddamn sin.
Uptown, downtown, heaven, or hell.
Purgatory.
Today's role of Caesar, usually played by Adam Driver, will be played by Adam Passett. Just kidding, folks. The lightning has spoken.
I don't get it. How is spying being ethical?
Who are you?
You can't cheat time and you can't beat time. You can't touch it, taste it, see it, smell it.
I fear Lawrence Fishburne has been typecast as guy who explains the Matrix. Oh, cool. Claudio's camera lens comes with Caesar and Julia's images pre-stamped on it. Wait a f***ing minute. Is the car not moving when they cut to this shot? It looks like a shot of them in a motionless car when they cut to this. If that's on purpose, I immediately hate it.
Pull around.
This car pursuit stops at intriguing and decides to never become relevant. I guess Caesar and Fundy stumbled into one of the more popular areas of New Rome's Megalopolis bus tour where the imagery is heavy-handed. Ah, Purgatory, the section of New Rome where the statues may be tired and crumbling while injustice rages, but the flower shop is bathed in heavenly light, a beacon for all those who live in this area and just need a good floral arrangement to distract them from their lives.
This doesn't make sense.
Julia says this as she watches Caesar buy flowers. People buy flowers for all sorts of reasons. The act of buying flowers is only suspect if you know he has severe allergies. Don't worry, Caesar, I've been told numerous times that the dead don't die. What a useless clock. You can only see it from a plane. Also, the clock hands on this platform that Caesar uses to scope out his vision for the city serve as a major tripping hazard and should have been encased in glass underneath. This is the guy I'm trusting to make a progressive city?
Of all the institutions your utopia will preserve, which is the most important to you?
Marriage.
Oh, for f***'s sake. The duo will not be currently taking a private trip as a honeymoon. An understand honeymoon vacation. An understandable decision. Among the recent increase of business matters, Hamilton must tend to with the new signed business deal Crassus National made a few weeks ago. You know what? Not enough. Add 1,000 cents. I love how this movie wants to be creative, turning New York into New Rome, suggesting a place that is like New York but isn't, but still is, kind of like Gotham. And yet, when it comes to going to a stadium for a big event, they just keep Madison Square Garden's name.
They're richest kids in the world, and rumor has it they're sleeping with each other too.
I heard the rumor too, I just wish I knew I have to keep hearing about it.
Millions of tiny cell cameras transmit what they see through to the other side.
It's like that dumbass car in Die Another Day, only somehow more offensive. Also, trying to make this dress make sense because of tiny cell cameras, when at this point it would be easier to just say the Megalon did it.
Hello. Would you like to buy a military college cadet uniform?
What a disgrace. He used to be an academy cadet. Now he's selling the f***ing thing.
I was unaware I was supposed to care about this.
They say the only thing bigger than Hamilton Crass's bank account is his
Thanks, Dustin. You've been helpful. After years of CinemaSins, I have become really good at picking out symbolism in movies. For instance, when Julia is playing some sort of invisible tug-of-war with Caesar, it symbolizes the struggle between man's deeply personal exploration of the self and my patience. Whether this person eating shit on this e-bike was planned or not, its inclusion in the film doesn't further the story as much as it makes me question my reality.
Enjoy the show.
Claudio is super excited about this fake video everyone is going to see that will be easily debunked in about a day.
$100,000! 200,000?
These people are bidding on Vesta staying a virgin? Like, at first I thought this was really f***ed up, that they were all bidding in public to be her first time or something. But I think they're bidding on her to just not have sex.
You can see right through me!
And that is what it feels like to be bludgeoned over the head with a metaphor. The Adam Driver deepfake can only hurt you if you stare into its eyes for too long. I can see how this would catch on just from how well Murga rolls off the tongue. No one will be seated during the Caesar does an impression of a Peter Gabriel music video scene.
Revenge tastes best while wearing a dress.
Restaurants that try to enforce rules on attire.
Here it is.
Thank the gods for these random files in a random place that contains all the random answers without which the movie would feel less random. For no reason whatsoever, Cicero suddenly speaks Latin to Julio, and that's never been a thing this entire movie and won't ever happen again either.
But that's Vesta's birth certificate. It exonerates him.
Legally, yes, but not morally.
But Julia said the video was also fake, so that exonerates him morally, right? Anyway, Vesta Sweetwater is now capitalizing on the not a virgin thing, and I guess she's a terrible person or something. I really don't know what the movie is trying to say. What I hate about this diversion in the movie is that it feels like Coppola is making a statement about the Me Too movement, and the takeaway is that most of the time women are just lying. It also explains a lot about some of the casting choices.
I've lost my power.
I enjoyed this part of the movie a lot more when it was in Austin Powers' The Spy Who Shagged Me. Yes, Caesar is a victim of cancel culture, and it's literally taken his livelihood. It just feels like the movie has zero nuance on this topic. It would have been better just to wrongfully accuse him of murder again and avoid the entire Vesta Sweetwater subplot altogether.
Emmy, time stop now.
Well, that was easy. It's almost like we could have just not watched the last 15 minutes of this movie. Stealing.
Only those in a nightmare are capable of praising the moonlight.
Citation needed.
Make an interesting shape, but try not to break the structure.
Dialogue that sounds like you're micromanaging a clown making balloon animals.
Just doing a solo.
Hey man, you can't do a solo anymore because he was weak and foolish like his father, so you destroyed him.
Catalina leveled their fucking neighborhood for his stupid megalopolis.
I mean, I guess she's right. Caesar's attempt at a utopia is actually doing harm, which makes me wonder if our protagonist is really a hero in this story. It's like he read The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas and said, yep, that's the utopia I want. Let's do that.
Your Honor, you're never gonna believe this.
This is like an inverted better come take a look at this cliche. It's an I was looking at a thing so I came cliche. A satellite falling on a huge city like this would be an absolute incredible loss of life and have a profound effect on its residents. In this movie, it will be the convenient method by which Caesar gets to build more Megalopolis, and the displaced residents can blame him for it so they can vote for Shia LaBeouf in the next election. Or something.
It's an unstoppable force. It's unbreakable. It's within us, it's around us, and it's stretched throughout time. Is this society, is this way we're living, the only one that's available to us? And when we ask these questions, when there's a dialogue about them, that basically is a utopia.
I can't tell if this movie is trying to prove a point or make me think forever. Also, is this movie giving me the just asking questions mantra as a qualification for a utopia? Just asking questions is usually coming from someone who is acting in extremely bad faith, who's already decided what the answer is. Anyway, I have no idea if that's what the movie is getting at, but I find this line of utopia defining extremely weak. The T-square and the stone. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, except in this case, the 1,000 words are all out of order and probably call you a motherfucker for trying to understand this opaque utopia Caesar's constructed. Also, these drawings reveal a city where people will live in a place that looks like the Maze Runner The Scorch Trials. It's just that the rubble is actually sculpted into some sort of nouveau trash so that wealthy people won't think they're slumming it too much. I feel like tons of facehuggers are going to hatch from these drawings.
Anywhere in Megalopolis, you'll be able to ride one of these to a park in less than 5 minutes.
The park must not be very far if this glorified airport travelator moves this slowly. If the convenience of Megalopolis is that everything is close together, then say so. But don't tell me this fucking thing is a reason your city will be so great.
Plus, every single adult will have a private, beautiful garden.
Threatening me with gardening.
Welcome to our home.
Yes, welcome to our home, which looks futuristic but is ultimately boring. Maybe Caesar's miracle flubber will put some paintings on the wall and figure out another color other than faux heaven.
Utopias offer no ready-made solutions.
Well, they're not meant to offer solutions. They're meant to ask the right questions.
The object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape, finding yourself in the ranks of the insane.
This quote sounds good and all, but why does it have to be one or the other? You mean if I don't go with the majority, then I'm just insane? And this suggests the majority is never right.
And I understand it can expand as needed.
Megalopolis is apparently built inside the House of Leaves, where everything is bigger on the inside than is possible from looking at the dimensions on the outside. You can apparently expand and not encroach on your neighbor's spaces or sightlines at all. Of course, this is an idea that sounds half-baked, and we will never hear how this really works.
If it's a girl, she'll be given the name Sunny Hope. And if it's a boy, he'll be named Francis.
Are you fucking kidding me? This counter, sink, and faucet are not made from Megalon. The developer must have run out of money.
So what do you want to do? Do you want to leave?
No.
And then Caesar went to bed while Julia sat on the edge of the bed. And scene. Swastistump.
That old fool Nush tried to muscle you out of politics.
Why do I say that right now? Oh, no reason. Just a good way for the movie to explain that Dustin Hoffman's character died.
Evidence about your wife's body. I was dishonest in my prosecution of you.
You know what would have been awesome if Caesar actually did kill his wife. His innocence was never really anything any sane person was questioning in this movie, or possibly even cared about, considering how many plot threads we've had to keep up with. Yeah, what was that jump cut for? And it jump cuts to another shot where Cicero doesn't even say anything. For fuck's sake, Francis. You couldn't just cut straight to the shot when Cicero was standing up to leave?
There are only two things impossible to stare at very long: the sun and your own soul.
You can't stare at anybody's soul for any length of time, so this is dumb. Also, thinking not immediately blinding me is reason enough for this movie not to be on that list.
Wow, where's your coat?
I thought this was an exclamation, and then I forgot that this movie somehow named a character Wow.
Wow.
I thought this was an exclamation, and then I forgot, oh, that was an exclamation, but more of a pun, a punsclamation.
Sex, drugs, and Megalon.
I would have thought that Megalon could be the sex and drugs as well. It seems to do everything else.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Kids. Also, the movie steals his assassination attempt from the movie Hoffa so hard that this wasn't even a surprise.
Sonny's here.
This couldn't have been funnier if they used Eye of Newt during this reconstruction. I haven't seen anything this befuddling since 1987 when my family went to Disney World and we watched Captain EO.
And in that madness, it came to me. I discovered the principle of Megalon, trying to save her life.
Oh.
This is my heart.
Francis Ford Coppola's One from the Heart 2, Lessons Unlearned. No.
Our accounts are frozen.
A lot of people don't like what Adam Driver did with Bane, but I kind of dig it.
I'm in a position where I can do all kinds of things on my own, Caesar.
I often found my college girlfriend in a similar position. Why does exposing the Megalon surgery turn Caesar into a flock of geese? Also, if you think being half man, half Megalon will be an interesting feature of the tail end of the film, don't worry. It'll be forgotten in about 5 minutes or so.
What's a 7-letter word for God's revenge on mankind?
Pandora.
Bingo.
After watching this movie, we all know the word is Coppola. During this long walk through a bank, you'd swear there was about to be a Matrix-style battle about to go down, and the music even feels Matrixy. But no, this is all just some preamble to Claudio and Wow making some disgusting whoopee in an office somewhere. Word on the street is that when Francis Ford Coppola was looking to cast this part, Shia LaBeouf sent sex tapes to Lars von Trier to get this role. Also, we can't show it, but I assure you the sin is Shia LaBeouf. I like how Wow Platinum is literally behind the scenes in this shot. It really sells the obviousness. There would have been Lawrence Fishburne narration on this title card, but he was probably too busy being misused in Predators 14 years ago to do it. Caesar and Julia get married in a car, which is the sin. I'd add one more if it was the one from Tucker, A Man in His Dream, but I can't prove that. Also, this baby needs to be in a car seat. Finally, movie finally gets to its Saturnalia part. I remember being in a theater and I heard a guy behind me say to his wife, "This movie has really been taking a long time to get to the Saturnalia." And his wife said, "Shh," which I took as an extremely salient point. I can't wait until they all get on this train and they are whisked away to that secret place where Richard Parker left a video explaining why he had to destroy his research.
What do you think of this boner I got?
Not as impressive as mine when the credits start rolling.
Wow. You Wall Street slut, this is your closing bell.
Okay, it's a fable and maybe even a farce, but they could have left the room in the time it took him to draw back the arrow. Hell, I would have left shortly after.
What do you think of this boner I got?
I mean, Megalopolis looks like an out-of-control fungus growing around New York that the Ghostbusters will one day have to cross the streams on. By the way, no one has once mentioned what kind of money you need to live in this place. Tonight's broadcast will be brought to you live from the Megalon HD clamshell in front of the Anaconda vertebrae. Caesar will make his speech on the world-famous au gratin potato stack, which used to be the Empire State Building. Is there a reason why they didn't use Megalon as a perimeter fence in this place, or is that the one thing Megalon can't do?
What I am concerned about is time.
Clearly not my time. We just breached 2 hours.
But what is time? We are such stuff as dreams are made on!
Hail New Rome! Hail Megalopolis!
That speech worked. While there are some neat visuals here and a travel ball from Jurassic World, I don't see anybody asking questions or having a conversation, which is apparently the basis of Caesar's utopia.
I'm going to leave the patents to Megalon, the bank, and my entire fortune to Caesar's Garden of Eden, to Megalopolis.
Also, I'm gonna cover up the murder of my wife by saying she fell on an arrow.
Now, time, stop.
Oh shit, I think this movie is saying this baby is the Antichrist. Holy shit. Also, stranding a baby in a temporal purgatory.
I know this sounds crazy, but it almost looks like lava, volcanic lava pouring onto the street.
Time, stop!
What is he doing?
He's beginning to believe.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise.
Design authority open.
Hello?
Hold, please. I don't know if you're ready to see what I want to show you, but unfortunately you and I have run out of time.
I feel like I could be Batman.
I'm invisible!
It's invincible, and you're not. You're just out of your fucking mind.
Yeah, these chords I learned from a cowboy named Wigglefoot.
Ladies and gentlemen!
Can you bring me down? Bring me down!
Please bear with us. We're experiencing technical difficulty.
You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
And in that madness, it came to me.
Moisture is the essence of wetness.
Caesar.
I need to speak to Caesar!
What do you think of this boner I got?
It's a good-looking dick, Peter. Beautiful dick.